Well, happy Friday to you. I'm WTOL 11 Chief Meteorologist Chris Vickers. We are looking forward to an ideal late October weekend. Our Friday is going to feature some afternoon sunshine, a day that's going to be in the lower 50s, and a cooler feel to have the hoodies, the sweatshirts, and the light jackets along, especially if you're going to be headed out for any Friday night football games. Into the weekend, it is going to be frosty and cold. Both mornings likely to be frosty. In fact, could be down to a freeze on Saturday morning. Dry and mild into the afternoon, perfect for the peak of the fall color season. At least several days now into it as we enjoy the weekend ahead. If you're going to be out at the metro parks or maybe the pumpkin patch, that quick race to get that last little pumpkin or two before the Halloween season. Speaking of Halloween, we've got likely dry weather out there, highs in the 50s toward next Friday. It is now 1 week away. Let me share some gorgeous views we have across northwest Ohio and parts of southern Michigan. Out toward the lakeside, almost looks like a little hint of summer trying to hang on with some of the landscaping they have out there. Calm conditions on Lake Erie. Darker clouds here in the Toledo metro, and we're going to see some on and off cloud cover through the afternoon. A little bit brighter toward the Lake Erie Islands, and look at how smooth the water is out there towards Sandusky. And if you look close, it looks like they're delivering some of those holiday huts out there towards Sandusky, a sign of the seasons ahead. I'm going to take a quick break from our local weather. Let's take a look at the tropics, and I promise you this is going to be a huge story through the weekend and into next week. What is going on with Tropical Storm Melissa? Because if you've been following along, it really hasn't done much the past 24 hours, and it's not going to do much over the next 24 to 36 hours. This is still a tropical storm, winds at 45 miles per hour, gusting to about 60. An unfavorable atmosphere right now for any development. Look at the motion on this, nearly stationary, maybe drifting a mile or two per hour over the past several hours. So yes, Melissa is not doing much right now, but what we fear on this one is over the next 24 to 36 hours, it's going to become more favorable for the development. We're going to see explosive, rapid intensification of Tropical Storm Melissa as it just meanders ever so slowly northward. And once we hit Sunday into Monday, it is just going to explode into a major Category 4 storm with winds that could top 140 to 145 miles per hour. Now, it still won't be impacting any immediate land, but here it is. That's Jamaica right there. They may have several days of high winds, waves, torrential rain, and then after all that, after it gets kind of whipped as it lashes the southern shores, it's going to make a loop back around and may make a direct landfall somewhere in western Jamaica. That would be early next week. So bottom line, we expect what could be significant to major or even catastrophic impacts to Jamaica. So let the hour-by-hour forecast move forward on this one. And notice, it's not anything that intensifies very rapidly through the weekend. Here's the worst of the wind staying offshore from Jamaica, but eventually early next week, this is going to turn back to the north and to the east. And here it is, that rapid strengthening, keeping it again close to or in the proximity of Jamaica, and a landfall sometime early next week will be possible. Much calmer conditions back here on our Marblehead Lighthouse cam. Look at those fair weather clouds. A beautiful afternoon that has been shaping up across much of the region. Upper 40s will turn to low 50s as we go through the day. Now, mixed clouds right now, some peaks of sunshine. We aren't going to see any chance of rain for our Friday afternoon or evening. It will be dry Friday, Saturday, and into Sunday. And Doppler radar put that one to rest. No threat of any rain. We certainly had quite a bit of rain and wind last weekend. If that impacted the outdoor plants or pumpkin patch, you're going to be just fine this weekend. Here's the upper 40s, lower 50s as we go early into the afternoon, and winds are still gusting occasionally up to about 20 miles per hour. And the big impact is we see clearing skies tonight, lighter winds. I'm calling for widespread frost that's going to be expected tonight. In fact, we could get the first freeze of the year possible. Some areas going to be down close to, if not below, the freezing mark as we go into our Saturday morning. And let me look at that hour by hour. Friday afternoon, there's the lower 50s. If you're headed out to Friday night football games, we are going to dip back into the mid 40s fairly quickly. So could require the hats, the gloves, the light jackets, and the warmer blankets to keep you kind of all bundled up tonight. Now, Saturday morning, I'm going to stop it right here for a moment. I want you to pick your community out. We're back in the low 30s to mid 30s for most areas, even some lakeshore areas with winds that are light enough. Could see some patchy frost or even close to a freeze. The low 30s for Fremont, Bowling Green, Findlay, Ottawa, Napoleon down to there toward the freezing mark. York, and even across southern Michigan, all areas close to freezing. By the afternoon, we're in the mid-50s. It'll be a dry, pleasant afternoon. Still some areas of frost, likely into Sunday. We're back in the mid-30s. Maybe not be quite as cold, but it will be very frosty, and then mid to upper 50s as we get into Sunday afternoon. Let's roll out with that big board Friday forecast. Temperatures in the 40s tonight, partly cloudy. It's going to be dry and cooler. And toward kickoff time, 48 degrees, 7 p.m., mid-40s at 8, low to mid-40s by about 9 p.m. as we go through the evening tonight. Your Saturday, there's the frosty cold start to the morning, lower 30s. We'll see highs into the afternoon reaching into the mid-50s. And my extended 10-day forecast is 53 out there for Friday, 56 Saturday and into Sunday. And there's no chance of any rain through the weekend, although both mornings are looking frosty with the potential of a freeze on Saturday morning. If you have outdoor plants that need to be covered up or brought indoors, go ahead and do that now to avoid the damage from the frost. Mid-50s show up Monday, Tuesday of next week. A few stray rain showers Tuesday and into Wednesday. That is not anything expected to be widespread. Then as we get toward Thursday, Friday, we're going to head toward the mid to upper 50s. Right on typical of what you'd see for an average this time of year. And then the first weekend in November, that is in sight Saturday and into Sunday, back in the lower 50s. And not only do we get Halloween, if you look to the first weekend in November, yeah, that's the time change. We fall back on Sunday, 10 days away, so that forecast now takes us into early November. We fall back 1 hour on Sunday, November 2nd, sunset time, and this is probably the most jarring, noticeable thing. 5:26 p.m. is when sundown time is out there on November 2nd. Thought this was interesting as well. I'll share the sunset times across the entire country by next Sunday, November 2nd. Look at that, toward New York City. 4:50 p.m. is the sunset time, Sunday, November 2nd, 5:26 in Toledo, 4:49 in Nashville. Out towards St. Louis, 4:59, Denver, 4:56. Many areas across the country will feature that first sunset before 5 p.m. once we see an end to daylight saving time, which will be on Sunday, November 2nd. Really appreciate you joining us on this Friday. This is Chief Meteorologist Chris Vickers wishing you a wonderful weekend ahead.